Welcome to Chronicles with Kat. I am your host, Kat. Today I know I say it every time, a special guest with me because he is special to me. I have my friend, Jose Munoz.
Whoa, Munoz.
I know.
He's a Munoz.
That was like a little Spanish twang.
I was like, soy Jose Munoz.
Jose Munoz. Welcome, friend. Thank you for joining the podcast today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes. So introduce yourself to the audience.
Of course. So mi nombre es Jose Munoz. Hi. How is everybody going? Doing? Not going. Where are we going? Doing. I basically know me as the famous Hola mi gente bonita. And I'm here with Miss Lovely Kat. I've known her for many years, and I am happy to be here.
He has become the gunkle of the family.
I have, yeah.
That is true. What my daughter and my nephew call him because he is the gay uncle of the family, which we love him.
I'm gay? Hold up.
And that brings me to today's episode. It's going to be a fun episode. We're going to keep it light, serious, a little bit of everything. But today's episode is about coming out, your coming out story. And I know that in the Latino community, like this is sometimes a really taboo topic to talk about. And you don't hear many stories, or at least I haven't heard many stories of families just being super accepting from the get-go. And so I wanted to create this space where you could share your story and just kind of what you are going through, the mental health portion of it, and like from beginning to end, like where you are now. So I am just ready to kick in and just really hear this. So I cannot wait for the audience to hear your story.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. Ready for it.
So we will begin with when did you know that, you were gay? Because I think some people just are trying to find themselves sometimes and they're not sure. So how did this all come about? And it was like your moment that you were like, yeah, no, chicks are not for me.
Right. Well, I mean, I knew from an early stage of like, when I started getting hormones, you could say that or whatever. But before that, I knew since I was small who I was. It was just so as you say, it's very taboo to talk about your sexuality, especially in the Hispanic community, where it's oh, you can't do this, you have to do that. Like you're gonna get married to a girl, you're gonna do this with a girl, girls, and this and that and that. So it's kind of like it's more so like a Mexican household, how you grow up, and it's like what they teach you. I'm a late bloomer, so I didn't come out till I was, I want to say 23. Around 23, 24 is whenever I decided yes, this is who I am, and I need to accept the fact this is me. We could get into that later on, but the way it happened, I was my family was were Catholic, and were in the church, religious and stuff like that. So I kind of buried myself into the religion and hiding myself to be no, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I started doing retreats. I was a coordinator. I was going, doing preaching things that I knew that were wrong because that's what they were teaching me in the church. And
so you kind of felt like a hypocrite, like you're preaching this.
Yes.
And you're but this is not what I believe or feel.
Exactly. But I feel like I was forced to do it because I knew it was wrong. Well, in that time in my life, no, this is wrong. I cannot be thinking this. I cannot be thinking that.
And did you ever date girls?
I did.
Throughout this time?
Yeah. I was dating girls. I literally, because I was forcing myself to think yes, I need to be with the girl. Funny enough, I would always look for the prettiest girl to date because I wanted the prettiest girl to be by my side. Not necessarily because I like that girl.
Yeah, you're we're just going to be a really good looking couple. Not because I like you, but because we're just going to be a really good, a power couple, basically.
Exactly, yeah. So I always looked for that and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's it just happened to be where I just burdened myself and I knew what I had to do because of what my family expected from me as a guy, especially as a firstborn man in the house.
So you're the oldest.
I am the oldest, yes. So it was hard during that time, and it came to a point where I remember in the retreat we had a few folks that would come in and they had oh well, I don't know if I like girls or I like guys, and that's where I became. To this day, still I still feel for those people, and well, I get into that, but I feel very like when I would tell them like, oh, well, that's just a challenge of God, like just telling you that. And sorry to mention God, but it's kind of like,
no, you're fine. This is your story. You can talk.
I was
about
like,
I
was like, but I was like, God is giving you this challenge or whatever. But now that I think I was such a hypocrite, because kind of like where I knew who I was too during that time, and I was hiding myself. And I will tell you this, I did find each person that I said that to them, I sit down with them to either dinner or lunch, and I say sorry, kind of like saying like,
really?
Hey, I'm sorry I said this because this is what was taught from me since the beginning. And I mean,
redemption though. I mean, if you really think about it, that's kind of like full circle in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you're redeeming yourself, you're finding, like, you're giving yourself grace, and like you're hoping that they give you grace as well.
And I'm not looking for it. It's more so like when you're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like fully just out, and I post about it. I could care less who sees me. And since I went through a lot of retreats, a lot of people know me. Some people I don't remember. Sometimes they even stop me, like wherever I'm at, grocery store or whatever, like, hey, do you remember me, like churches? And then I'm like, I don't, but hey, how's it going? And then you see my partner right beside me, like, hey, this is my partner. So it's kind of like, yeah.
So how did that affect you growing up, and it's being like embedded in your head that you're gonna marry a woman, this is the path you need to follow? Like, how did that affect you mentally? I mean, probably as a younger kid, maybe not as bad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and then too, when you finally, especially in the church, right? When you're in the church, like, how did all of that look like mentally when you would get home, or, and when you were growing up?
Well, my life is a little bit different on that terms, because I went through a lot more than just me trying to see who I was.
Okay.
I went through alcoholism, violence at home. I went through so many things that caught me to the point where I got depressed too. And I mean, and now I can fairly talk about it, where at one point I wanted to, I tried to commit suicide. And it was one of my lowest time of my life, where it was just so much stuff going on in my household that, seeing dad mom getting beat up by my dad, and like things like that. And then also like, that's whenever I was starting noticing like, I don't like girls. Yeah. And that's another thing where like, oh shit. And like, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
But like, this is happening. And I'm like, oh man, like, I don't know what to do. And it was just a whole thing. Like, I think that came along with me trying to find who I was and trying to hide it. And that's whenever church came along, and then that's whenever I buried myself there. And did it affect me mentally? Of course, because I think I lost myself, and I was being, how like, people say like, the person that's smiling the most or happy the most all the time are the people that you have to watch out with, because those are the ones that are super depressed and something's going on, but you don't know that because you see another side of them.
Well, I also think that there is this, people think depression and they think, oh, this person's like gloomy and blue and, dark.
I want to stay home and like, I don't want to go out.
No, when someone that's depressed, like, I mean, not that I am depressed, but like I could be here and be battling depression and no one's going to know that. Right.
And that's,
like,
and
there's people that just know how to hide it.
And that's who I was. Like my family I'm the one to this day still, like my whole family, they're like, Josecito, like, because I was so outgoing with everybody. My tias, my tios, my primas, like they all love me, but they just saw Jose like, oh, Jose is always smiling, he's always having fun. But like in reality, it came to a point where like I wanted to commit suicide. So
with feeling those feelings, was it just because of the whole family dynamic of everything that was going on, plus the secret that you're holding, and it was just like, do you think a lot of it was also fear, like seeing like the domestic violence happening at home, and you're like, crap, if I come out, like, is this
what's going to happen?
Yes, exactly.
No, yeah, I did. It was, I think that was a lot of it, because I did see it in my family where we knew some people were gay, but and I saw how they ended up with their families.
Were they shunned?
Yes. And that was kind of scary on my on my side. Like, should I come out? Should I not come out? Or like,
well, because you're very family oriented. I mean, I always see that you're like having dinners and y'all are,
and that came about because when I came out, like that had changed the dynamic of that, of my family getting together had changed completely.
So let's talk about that. So you're doing these church retreats. You're just like battling how you're feeling, hiding this big secret, because it is a big secret. What was that turning point that you're like, this is it? I'm just going to talk to my family.
It all started with the boy.
It always starts with the boy.
Yeah, no. So it's funny enough. Like I started doing theater with a group of people here in the local theater in Houston, and there was a guy there that kind of like I was like I thought he was like he's really cute, but I was like no, whatever. One thing led to another where like, ended up, kissing and like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. And then I'm like, but I liked it. And then, things happened from there. And I think since then, whenever that happened, it's whenever my life started trickling down like, well, shoot, I don't like this. Like, I don't like girls. I want to be who I am. Of course, like every other guy, I think every person, I'm not talking for everybody, but there's some people where you start like, well, I think I'm bi. And then
yeah.
like, I think I like girls and guys. But then one thing led to another, like that changed real quickly. Like, nope, I like guys. And this is what I was waiting. Yeah, it's just guys. And I mean, that's how, whenever that happened, that's whenever I wanted to come out. And I think I think it was just a switch. And I think I could talk for everybody too. It's like whenever people are ready, it's just a switch that comes on. You're like, I'm tired. I'm done. Like, I really just want to be me.
Because you're kind of living a double life, right?
Yeah, you are. You're an imposter. I feel like it's like you're imposter. It's like maybe we'll have some imposter syndrome or something like that. But
it's like, no, I really am being an imposter. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but so whenever like I started doing other things, and I remember I told my best friend, she was the first one, and Gabby, she knows who she is, and she's still in my life, and we still talk. But she told me like that's the first person I told her like I think I'm bi, and she looked at me. She was like, "Are you?" I was like, "Yeah." Okay, but she's hilarious because she knew I was gay since the beginning. But the reason I love her because she never outed me. She never questioned me. She never said anything because the way she told me, like, I was waiting for you to tell me something because I know it was going to come. And as soon as I told her, she was like, I don't care. I love you. I was like, we had una chía de aquí. We cry about it. She's my crying buddy. I would tell her.
You gotta have those.
And then later on, of course, I came out like fully gay. I'm like, no, I'm gay. I'm like, yeah, you already knew. I was like, eres una bicicleta. Like, la bicicleta. I'm like...
She's like, I've been waiting for you to for you to come to terms that you're not bi. You're just gay. You really just like boys.
Yeah. So whenever that happened, like that was a big relief. Whenever when I said something to her, and I'm like, oh my God, finally I'm out. And that's whenever I started being more me and getting a little bit more free for who I really want to be. And before that, I said like before I break out, like and I should say like start doing this or things or whatever. I need to talk to my parents because I would hate for that chisme, or like
to come from
someone else,
especially in a Hispanic household.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So like I remember that time, and that's whenever everything changed in my life, where I was scared.
Oh, I'm sure.
Super scared. I remember like even shaking. Like I don't know how to say this, but I have to because I just want them to hear from me. Yeah. Than from someone else. And I remember telling her like, "Hey, mom, dad, I need to talk to y'all." And I'm like, "About what?" I'm like, "Can I talk to her really quick?" And I remember telling like, "Can we go to your bedroom?" And then my mom and dad like, "What's going on?" They thought it was something, of course, something else. And that's whenever I told them. The reaction. Let me just say this. My mom is my best friend. I mean, like already, my best friend, my mommy, she is mi madre. Yo le digo mi madre. You're like mi madre. And I expected a whole different reaction from her. And it was the other way around. My dad, I was not, it was the reaction that he gave me was the same thing.
No, you expected.
I was expected kind of thing. And I think whenever I came out, obviously that happened. That time it was just I don't know how to explain it. Like once I said it, I felt good about it, but then I felt worse. The way it happened is that my mom, she ignored me for 3 weeks whenever that came out. Wow. She would try to ignore me because at this time I was still living with them in the house. I was in transition, and I mean the reason I also came out because I was gonna move out of the house, but it's like I'm moving out of the house. Oh, by the way, I'm gay.
So even if you're gonna try to kick me out, I was already gonna move.
Exactly. But so whenever that happened, like my mom, I remember she looked at me, she told me, and I think this is where it comes, where it's they don't know much about it because they don't want to learn, or they think otherwise because of what they've seen on TV or what they see in movies, etc.
Closed-minded as well. They're
Closed-minded.
Yeah.
So the first thing that came out of my mom's mouth was like, "So you're trying to be a girl now?" And I'm like, "No, Mom, no." I'm like, "I'm literally a guy. That's it. Like, I like guys."
So she was thinking you were going to go drag mode.
Exactly.
Okay.
But, again, it's what she perceives.
Well, maybe not even drag mode, but like starting to dress as a woman.
Exactly. But it's what she perceived from a gay man, like, because that's what she sees on TV or this and that. Back in the day, it was completely different. And I'm like, "No, Mom, like, I'm still a guy. Like, I'm still the same Cosecito that you know." Because she knows who I was. Like, I'm like, I think I never played with her shoes or anything like that. I was just like growing up. Like, I grew up with 3 boys and 1 girl. So it's kind of like my mom actually thought that my sister was going to be a lesbian. Turns out she's not. But sorry, sis. Love you.
Love you.
But yeah, so like whenever it happened, like that's whenever that was the only thing that she asked me. She told me like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, Mom, I am sure. I'm tired of living this life." And that's all she said. I remember she just walked out of the room. And then that's the last time I saw her after 3 weeks. My dad, in the other way, the way he reacted, he was very quiet.
I think that's scarier.
He looked at me, and obviously he asked me like, "Are you sure, or is this just a trend because everyone's doing it too?" And I'm like, how dad's like, "Estás seguro?" Like, "Estás seguro?"
Yeah.
But then that happened, and we were talking, and then that's whenever him and we started fighting, going back and forth. And that's when I got scared because like, okay, I don't want nothing bad to happen right now. All I remember me going like, like I went like that, like, "You know what, Dad, I'm going to let you process this." And then that's it. And I walked out, and I remember going to my room. Well, all of a sudden I heard somebody coming into my room that day, like, because I lived up, we had a 2-story. So I heard that somebody coming upstairs, and it was my dad. He opened the door, and I'm like, "Yes." And then he started crying. And I'm like, "How could you do this?"
That's what he said?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. "¿Cómo puedes hacer eso?" And I'm like, "Do what, Dad? You're not, why are you gay? Like, you're not supposed to be gay. Like, you're the man of the house. You're supposed to be like you're like get married with a girl. And like, you're not like, you're like a disgrace to us. Like, you're basically," he started saying all this stuff, which I still remember vividly.
Well, it's very hurtful things I'm sure he said. Yeah. And those have heavy, heavy wounds.
Oh yeah, to the point where like we started fighting back and forth. I keep telling him, "I'm still the same person, Dad. Like, I'm not changing who I am. It's just like I like guys. That's the only difference." And then to the point where like he's like, and he did tell me, like, he said like, "I'm a monster. Like you people are monsters, and you're supposed to go to hell. Is that where you want to go?" And I'm like. And then he started screaming more and more. And then all I remember telling him, and ever since then to today, I respect him and I love him as my father, but we don't have a very great communication, especially because of all the mess that I endured with him too, as well with mom. And that's a whole thing. But all I remember telling him, like, "I'm going to stop this right here because I don't want to say anything hurtful that's going to hurt you. And you are hurting me. All I know is like, I love you. I respect you, but I need you to get away. And just know, like, regardless of whatever it is, I'll still take a bullet for you." And I remember walking away. I went to my car and I just drove. And I came back and never saw him after that. But I was like, I know if this continues on, something's going to happen.
And he just let you walk away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
And so your relationship with your dad right now, I mean, is because I've never really seen you post your dad or like, because I mean, again, we see the family dinners and stuff. So like, I don't ask questions, obviously, because every family dynamic is very different.
Of course.
But what's your relationship like with him now? Is he in the picture at all?
Again, I respect him and I love him. It's very complicated. Now that I have my partner too as well, is that we are not able, he refuses to go to a dinner if my partner is there. If I'm there alone, it's okay. But if my partner's there, that's not okay. Because he says, like, I am contributing to this, how can you say it? Like, this
trend?
No thing that you're supposed to be doing. Because
Maldad?
Maldad, exactly. Because like church people, like, church doesn't like that. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that. So to this day, he still refuses that. So like, again, I respect them and I still acknowledge him. If I see him, I acknowledge him, this and that. And like I said, that dynamic has changed completely too. When my mom, when she was ignoring me, I still remember the 3 weeks. I think that's what hurt me the most. Not my father telling me all this stuff. Yes, it's hurtful because, you will never think your parent will be telling you all this.
Right.
But I think what hurt me the most was the silence that my mom gave me.
And I don't think people realize that when you give someone the silent treatment, that is a form of abuse.
Yes. Big time.
And a lot of people, like, they'll just deal with stuff like that. Well, they'll just ignore people.
Right.
And it is a very much sign. It's a sign of abuse and the mental aspect that it does, right? Like, I personally go down rabbit holes. Like, what can I do? How can I make this better? Why are they still upset? And sometimes the other person can literally just be over it, but just busy. But what you're going through. So a mom ignoring you for 3 weeks, I can't imagine.
And it's crazy, like, the thing, like, you get home and you know where she's at, but you hear her running away because she's heard me getting there, and then she would go hide so she doesn't have to see me.
So she was also fighting it because I think, me personally, I think she wanted to still talk to you and everything, back to everything.
Didn't know how to come about it.
Yeah.
And that changed quickly because that's whenever I'm like, after the third week, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Mom, like, I literally went to her room, like, can we talk? And then I told her everything. Like, I hate that you're ignoring me. And that's hurting me so bad because, like, I've been crying all this 2 weeks. And, like, it's like my mom doesn't want to talk to me. What I do is that it? Like, I'm not ever going to talk to you anymore. And whenever she came out to, like, I just don't know how to process it. I don't know what to say anymore. It's wrong. The Bible, this, that, who, God, God doesn't like this. I'm like, Mom, God likes whatever you think is best for you. Like, God's going to judge, or whoever is out there is going to judge you for who you are, not for what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not here to judge. You're here to love me. And I went like that to my mom. Like,
I mean, it is very true, right? Like, I think it's with people that are in the church because, yes, guys, I used to go to church. I think it's very much, back in the day, it was very much embedded. Like, this is what it says, and this is what you have to follow. And if you're not, you're going to go to hell. And I think really what should be taught is the love, right? Because there's so many stories in the Bible about love. Yes. And it didn't matter. Like, I mean, we have the prostitute, we have this, we have that. So I feel like it's a very hard mindset to kind of switch to, like, love, right? Just love the person and pray for them. Like, honestly, I feel like that's what we should do. So, but in the older, like, in not our generation, I think our generation's a little more,
open.
Yes. Yeah. But in the older generation, I think that's super hard for them.
Oh no, for sure. I think, like, during that time, whenever that happened, like, like I said, she did not know how to process it. And when it came about it, like, obviously she asked a lot of questions and I answered as much as I could to her. I think she was just confused because, of course, I dated a lot of girls. So she was like, but you dated girls. So I'm like, I know, Mom, but I was forcing myself to date girls. So she didn't understand that in that time, like, what I was going through.
Yeah.
Fast forward now, like, it took a while for her to actually acknowledge, to be like, we came to the point where we agreed to disagree. Okay. And at first I was mad at my father, mad at my mother too as well. I was like, by this time I had already moved out. I was doing my thing. I met my partner, so on and so forth. And now we're still together 5 years later. Whenever that happened, like, I was very mad at them. I refused to go to the house. Like, I don't want to talk to y'all. Like, you don't love me the way I am, but yet you wanted me there, but I cannot bring, my partner with me. I think that was a whole dynamic of me going back and forth, but then I was also hurting myself. And you don't understand, like, the fact, like, you want to be there, but then you're also like, I don't want to be there. Yeah. And it hurts you. Yeah. And I used to wish my mom and dad could be like, oh yeah, like, we love you. Come on, this and that. No. It wasn't like that. My mom didn't meet my partner until 2 years later of me dating him for the first time. And that's because my brother had a party and he's like, he's coming. And that's another story my brother tells well. But like he's coming, whatever, this and that. And like, well, I don't want him to be there. Like, well, if you're not going to be there, then you're not going to celebrate my birthday then. I think my mom realized that she was losing me. And then she finally kind of like snapped and like, well, I don't want to lose my son.
Which is good.
Exactly.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But still hard.
It took a while. It took a while. Again, there's just a lot of stories like before that, like where it all that took a toll, definitely in my mental state of mind, where I did not know what I was doing. And then, of course, my boyfriend then, still now, he was there a lot, and I would talk to him. But I feel like it was very different because I couldn't explain to him of how my boyfriend's white, so.
Culture differences.
There's a culture clash, and he didn't understand a lot of what I was going through. All he would say like, okay, well, you just don't talk to him, leave him.
Well, yeah, because I'm probably going to stereotype right now. I think the American culture, is that the right way to say it? The non-Hispanic culture, the American side, they're very different.
Yes.
Some of the kids call their parents by their first name. That's nails on a chalkboard for me. But it's just very different. Like we were just raised different.
It was completely different. Yeah. Like me, like my mom, like, yo le digo mi madre.
Yeah.
I don't know how I started to saying that too. So I think it's just a form of respect. I think back in the day, people would say madre as a form of respect. And now I just got used to it. But like, I can be like, Jacqueline. Like,
no.
Like, that's going to be like a no. My mom's like,
sometimes I'll have to say Elizabeth if like she's not paying attention. I'm like, Elizabeth. And she's like,
it's like, don't call me that.
Yeah, no. So like, I think that's really hard when you have two different cultures.
Exactly.
And and they're different.
So he was there for a lot, and then he helped me in many things, but it also helped me personally in finding exactly who I was, because I was dating as a serious relationship. Like, I'm dating him. This is what I wanted. This is what I was lasting for. This is what I needed in my life. And so that was a whole thing too as well. And then going back to my brother was embarrassed of me when I came out too as well.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was super embarrassed for me being gay. Like, shit.
Well, you have two other ones. So which one?
The older one, Carlos. Hi, Carlos.
Hola, Carlitos.
Yeah, no, I remember that time, like whenever he was embarrassed. But I think I'm grateful for the person that he has in his life now, which is now his wife. His wife. He heard a lot of what she was saying, and she's very open-minded, and I love her. She's a great sister-in-law, and then to this day I still tell her, like, we have girls night out without him, and he's always jealous. But I love her. She did change a lot of the perspective of how to think about the gay community. He just thought something else, like everybody else. We're all close-minded because it's not happening close to you, to your family, until it does.
Well, and also I feel like people don't want to educate themselves in a lot of topics, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I think this topic specifically, they don't.
Yeah.
Or, I think like my daughter and I'm very open-minded for the most part, I think. And that's how I've raised my daughter. Mm-hmm. And so when there's something that's said, I don't know who was at the house one time, and I don't know if it was I don't know what it was, but it was something to do with the gay community. Mm. And I was like ratting off because I was like upset about something something bad was happening or whatever. And I was like, oh, maybe somebody was being shunned or something. I'm like, we don't care. We love all. And I don't know who it was. They looked at me and I said, oh, in this household, we love all. Like, we are not going to judge. Well, maybe a little. I am Hispanic and we all judge. I was like, but it's like an open household, right? Like, yeah. Because I wanted to make it very clear, like, if you're going to be in my daughter's life, this is how we are. Yeah, this is how we are. And unless any person's done something wrong to you, like, we're just going to love all. Like, you see, like, you're her gunkle, like.
Your mom is your mom. My mom. And your mom loves me.
Yeah. No.
It's like Pat Patty has even told me, like, I think your mom loves you more than me. I'm like, I know.
You're the son she never had. You're the son she never had.
Right.
Yeah, no. So like, I feel like, I was my mom, as much as she may not seem open-minded, she pretty much is. Like you see, she loves you. She loves, you coming over. It's very comfortable, like it's
I'm still waiting for the pupusas, eh?
Ya oíste, Mom.
Okay, Mom.
I better be invited too.
You just invite me.
But, I'm glad that your brother married someone that was open-minded, because again, I do feel like the people that are around you can influence or change or educate you.
Yeah, because whenever that happened, like during that time when it happened, I already started dating my boyfriend then. Still now. I don't know why I say that, but
he's a little nervous, maybe.
But I remember this was during Christmas. So we have a group of friends that we always get together for Christmas, and of course, I had invited him because now I'm dating somebody. I'm inviting him. And we're in a group of friends, and something happened. We were like in a bonfire style, and we're just having some couple of drinks. But he was acting so weird, like he was just there. You know how like your typical Mexican men, like he had
kind of watching everybody uncomfortable.
He has his beer, and we're having a good time and that. But anyways, fast forward to that, like. We started sharing a few things because my friends, they were also new to like, me bringing my boyfriend, and like we're talking like, like this is happening, but whatever. Out of nowhere, my brother literally looked at me and he told me like, can I talk to you really quick? And I'm like, sure. So we literally went out to like the little in front of the house of my friend's house. And then the first thing that came out of his mouth, like, I'm sorry. And after that, it was me and him. Like he doesn't cry. Like when I tell you he doesn't cry, he does not cry. That day, I saw him cry. I'm like, what is going on, dude?
Like, I've been drinking. I don't know how to respond to
and
this.
I'm an emotional boss. So as soon as I saw him crying, of course I started crying.
I'm the
like,
same way. That's how we get along.
So I was like, what's wrong? Like, I'm so sorry. He told me like I was embarrassed of you. But I've been talking to my wife, and like, I love you. I don't want to, take you out of my life because, you're my brother. One thing to another. We were probably there for like an hour, just talking back and forth to a point like, okay, enough. I don't have no more tears. So, we're done.
Yeah.
It is. So that was like kind of like a good thing to have from him.
Yeah.
Ever since then, his relationship and I, and my sister too, like we're so bonded together to the fact that my brother now is like, when we go out, like, so when we're going to go to the gay bars, he loves going to the gay bars.
I mean, they are fun, guys.
Loves. And my sister-in-law used to look at him like, if you get a free drink, make sure to give me one. Literally, that's it. And then he has gotten free drinks before. I'm like, oh, my friend needs a free drink. I'm like, okay, great, thank you. And then he goes,
stop.
Yes, but he loves it. Yeah, so it has changed completely now, and he loves me. We talk dirt to each other back and forth all the time, and to the point where like we're getting older now, so now. We're like the older tios now. We're like the ones that drinking a beer, carne asada. Yeah. Like that's our thing now.
Yeah.
So we're like the older borracho tios, how they say it.
So from start to finish, right? Not start to finish, but from beginning to where you are now, how do you feel? Just with like your family dynamic and just you living for you.
Yeah. I think like I love. Here's the thing. I came to realize whenever my mom met Kenny for the first time, and then since then, and now it took me a while, but it took me a long time to accept me for who I am. But yet I criticized my parents right there and then off the bat for their reaction. Mm. And that's something that took me a while to understand too as well. Of course, you want to be loved unconditionally. And if I ever have children of myself, I'm going to love them for whomever they are. But them coming from Mexico, un ranchito, how they call it, a little ranchito, they are taught differently. And again, going back, like it took me a long time to accept me. So it was my fault for criticizing them in that moment of how they reacted. Because this is just the first time for them too. Yeah. And they don't know. And I came to accept the fact like it's just them. They're processing it slowly. Why am I rushing them to accept something that they don't know about?
Yeah. I mean, hardcore Mexican, right?
Exactly. So once I came to be with that acceptance with myself, that's whenever I opened more with my mom. And I feel like my mom has opened so much with me now, to a point that she's asked me a lot of questions. But, and I love her for that, because I see her, she's trying.
Yeah.
She's there. Dad, it's another story. But again, he went through a lot. And I think, even to the point, like, saying the I love you for him was hard, because he wasn't taught that.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard him say I love you, it was not too long ago. And it's just crazy to think, like, they're just still learning. Like, it's the first time them going through so many things, because they were taught differently growing up. And that's what sucks. And once I realized that, I think I am more happy with my family's dynamic, because yes, I am gay. I am who I am, and I'm happy for me. But I'm here for you for whatever questions you want to ask me. But I still want you in my life. So what can I do in order for us to be okay? And if we agree to disagree, it's perfectly fine. Like I told my mom, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be okay. Like, you're not gonna accept fully for who I am, but I still want you here.
Yeah.
That's it.
What would we're gonna wind down here. So for anyone out there that is going through what you went through when they were fighting themselves, right? Fighting on their identity, trying to figure out, like, am I or am I not? Or someone that may really know, yes, I am gay, but hasn't come out. What encouragement would you give that person to help them get through, and to give them the strength, really, to come out and tell loved ones?
I think I'm not going to say it's easier nowadays, because it's still hard. Everybody has their own coming out timing, and nobody else can do that for them. But the easiest thing is, like, you have a lot of resources. And if you're able to, if you think you're in a place where it's not going to be accepted, because, like it or not, unfortunately, we still have those households where, I have friends, close friends, that got beaten up because they came out as gay.
Wow. But
if you think you're safe and you think you're okay with, coming out to them, then go for it. I think once you release that monster, literally, it's like, once you release that demon from you, like, kind of like, I know who I am, and I'm not going to hide for who I am, you're going to feel so much better. Again, there's a lot of resources out there than what we had before. And if you're able to get out of the house and you think you're going to be in danger after you do come out, like, look for friends, family members. I bet you anything, that best friend or that friend that you talk to, and that mom or dad is probably more open-minded than your mom and dad, then talk to them and be like, this is what's happening. This is what I want to do. Can I be here if something does happen?
Yeah.
Because it could happen when I get out of the house.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I'm sure it still happens once in a while. But I think that's the only thing to say. Like, if you feel safe and you have the resources, definitely do it. I know for many people, it's very hard, because, we've gotten into a time where we're very isolated and we don't talk to many people. And especially now with it, with social media and stuff like that. Yes, you have friends that you talk to, but you don't actually see them. In person. So it's completely different for sure. But and if you think you have to wait, and you have to wait. I waited.
Yeah, no.
I waited. And I'm saying is right. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. I think it's just perfect for when you are ready to come out. And again, if you have the resources, then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show and for sharing your story and for being vulnerable. And I love you.
I love you too.
You're the best. You're the best gunkle ever.
I know I am.
So we hope that this episode has encouraged anyone out there that needed to hear this, needed to hear Jose's story. And just know that you're not alone. There are resources. And if you don't have anyone to talk to about this, like I said, I am here and you can reach out to me.
Me too.
Until next time. Bye.